Hi everybody, it's Thursday, December 4th, 2008. Thanks for stopping by. I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about race. Now, some of you believe in science, and some of you believe in the Bible. Whichever one you choose, that's fine. Or maybe you might believe in both. Now, for those of you who believe in science, I have a few quick theories to run by you. Scientists believe that all of humanity is much more genetically similar or genetically homogeneous than most animal species. That there's less difference between you and people of other races than there are among donkeys or cats or dogs or most other species of animals. This is what scientists believe, and they believe the reason for this is that humanity almost became extinct tens of thousands of years ago, was on the brink of extinction and then somehow survived, and that all of humanity today is descended from a very small number of people. In fact, they believe that they can trace every single human being on the planet to one female named Eve. But of course they haven't found this individual. They just believe because of the mitochondrial DNA, which is passed on through mothers, that everyone has a common female ancestor. And they also theorize, I guess this is sort of related, that if you go back, I believe it's 2,000 years, maybe it's a little bit more than that, but around 2,000 years, if you go back that far, anyone who was alive at that time who had offspring, or who have offspring currently living, they're your ancestor. So anyone in the world, anywhere in the world, 2,000 years ago or maybe a little bit further, if they have living ancestor or living descendants, they are your ancestor. Now, I don't know if that's true. I just read that somewhere. It seems to make sense because if you look at your family tree, it gets exponentially bigger as it goes farther down. So if you aren't the if your ancestors, if all the people who lived at that time weren't your ancestors, then a pretty big number of them are. That is for sure. So that is the scientific theory on race, and you might not believe this. You might look at people and think, well, look at how different everyone is. Everyone looks so different. But I'd remind you that most of these differences are cosmetic. They're all skin and eye color and hair color, stuff like that. They're not anything structural. And you might also say, well, Asians are good at math and blacks are good at athletics and white people aren't, and all this other thing. These are all pretty powerful stereotypes. But they did a study not too long ago where they examined some of these stereotypes, and they found out that most people didn't really live up to the stereotypes unless they thought they were supposed to. In other words, they took several groups of basketball players and they divided them up by racial lines. And half of the groups, they told them, okay, you're going to go play a game and this will test your athletic ability. So they had them go play basketball to test their athletic ability. And the black guys stomped the white guys. The white guys didn't have a chance. They all lost. So then they took the other half of these groups and they said, okay, you're going to go play a game, and this is to test your practice preparation. So this is not a test of athletic ability, this is just a test of your preparation. And surprisingly enough, about half the time the white guys won, and about half the time the black guys won. So what does that tell you? It tells you, to me, that those white guys were living up to their stereotype, and the black guys were too. But when they didn't think there was a stereotype involved, they just played, and it was a pretty normal game, and everybody had an equal chance. And you know, a similar thing happened. They with academics, they took a bunch of students, black and white, and they told them, okay, we're going to give you a standardized test, and this test is to test your determine your academic ability. And the black guys did terrible, or the black people, they did terrible. And then they took another group of students, and they said, okay, here's a test, but it's just a warm-up. It's not to test anything. It's just, you know, an exercise. See how fast you can color in circles or something. And you know, the black people did just as good as anybody else. They didn't have any problem with the test because they didn't really think they were being tested. So, you know, it kind of tells you that people, you know, and it's a fear that people have of not living up to what they should live up to when they think that they're representing their race, or when they think that they are being judged by a stereotype. They tend to, you know, not always, but as a general trend, they become anxious. They become self-conscious, and they tend to subconsciously reinforce these stereotypes. So there is evidence coming out now that many of these stereotypes are pretty poor indicators of what people are really like. And now you might, now that's a scientific argument, now you might believe in religion. Well, if you do, then you know that all people are considered to be the descendants of Adam and Eve. So that means if you believe in religion, there isn't that much difference between the races either, because we all come from a common ancestor. You know, and if you are Jewish or Arab, and you think that the other side is totally different, well, I hate to tell you, but you're absolutely wrong. You know, Semitic people are Arabs and Jews. You know, that's the definition of Semitic. It's people from the Middle East. It could be Arab or Jew. And anti-Semitic people, the textbook or the dictionary definition is someone who hates Arabs or Jews or anyone else who is of a Semitic background. So if you hate Arabs, you're anti-Semitic, believe it or not. And you know, so that's just one. You know, that's just one argument, but it's pretty obvious. Jews and Arabs, they speak Semitic languages. They eat the exact same foods. You know, their religion dictates the same foods, most of the same kind of beliefs. They worship the same God. They come from the same region. Supposedly they are all descendants of Abraham. So if you believe the Bible at all, then Arabs and Jews are blood relatives. Not just the same race, but certainly the same race. You know, at its origin. So these are just some things to think about, and I want to talk a little bit about, you know, the effect of stereotypes and the effect of conspiracy theories, like the conspiracy theory that Jews are taking over the world and that Arabs are taking over the world, which surprisingly enough are very prevalent and very similar. So I don't have time. I'll talk about it next time. Thanks for watching.